So welcome everybody to this week's DB Impact Live. I'm excited today to talk to you guys to introduce Michael Fritz to you guys. And I, or Fritz as he goes by. We got connected through JR at the Business Leaders Network, and we talked last week, and he's got some really exciting stuff coming up. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for him to be able to talk a little bit about what he's doing with business owners in the podcast world, and then also one of his events coming up very shortly. And so, Fritz, appreciate you taking the time, man. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit more about you.
Hey, thanks, man. And I got to laugh because I can't tell you how many times I've been talking, one-on-one like this, and people are like, Michael. I mean, Fritz. It's like, I go by Fritz because there's a lot of Michaels and Mikes everywhere. Right? It is my name, but it's not like if you say Michael, I'll be like, who in the thunder is he talking about? Can't be me, So we're cool. Yeah, my name is Michael Fritzius, aka Fritz. I'm the founder facilitator of Podcastify Me. I get people booked on podcasts and turn the bookings into business. And the cool part about this is I have the spiritual gift of encouragement. And so whenever people come to me, they actually open up and share things with me that they probably wouldn't share with most people. They'll share about their business struggles. They'll share about, well, I'm not really getting a lot of conversions. I'm not really selling a lot. Like, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. And that's actually led me to do kind of a combination of, yes, get you booked on podcasts, but let's talk about your offer. Let's talk about, why are you afraid to sell? You don't want to feel pushy. That's cool. Let's unpack that. There's some trauma in there. So I love what I'm doing. I'm absolutely not what I wanted to be when I grew up, but I didn't go to school for this sort of stuff, man. There's no major for, get you booked on podcast and combine that with an MBA. Like, who does that? But I'm having a blast, dude. I am loving it every single day, dude. It is a lot of fun. It's a challenge, but it's fun. It's a fun challenge.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and you and I have talked, a few times now, but I think one of the things that I appreciate the most is, my inbox. I get people reaching out to me all the time, like, "Hey, do you want to be on this podcast, or do you want to do this talk, or that sort of thing." And I love the way that I'd love for you to dive into, because the approach that you take with people isn't just, "Hey, I'm going to get you on a podcast," but like, dive in a little bit more into everything that you've really created for people, so that when they get on these podcasts, they're actually successful in getting business, right?
Yep. Awesome. So first, what we do is we conduct a really deep interview with the person. So let's say, for example, Drew, if you were my client, first thing I would do is spend an hour of time with you, and we're going to dig into everything about you, your business, your background, your goals, why you got started, what makes you tick. Because as we're doing that, we're recording the interview and we're ascertaining, okay, later on, what would be some really good shows for us to get this guy onto? And once we have that information, then we can poll our database of podcast hosts where we've had equally descriptive conversations with, and we'd say, okay, we've got Drew. Here's an angle that we think would be a good fit for this podcast because we know this host and we know this podcast, we know their audience. We'll ask you first, hey, does this look like a good fit? Probably you'll say yeah. If not, then it's like, well, let's make some changes. Okay, once we have that dialed in, then we share that with the host and we say, hey, we got this guy named Drew. We think he'd be a great fit for your show, and here is why. Because they know us and they've talked with us at length, and they're like, yeah, we trust Fritz, we trust his team, but also this is a pretty dang good fit. Yes, we want to have this guy on our show, not just because Fritz sent him our way, but want to make that happen, right? So afterwards, right. This is where it really, where the rubber meets the road, as it were, is we make lead funnels on every single episode that we get you booked on. So we don't want to just get you booked on a show and then hope that results in business. Have fun storming the castle. No, we are actually going to mobilize your audience to come to a single location because they said they wanted to find out more about this episode. Give an opportunity to watch the episode. Give an opportunity to understand what they're going to get out of watching the episode, and then give them an opportunity to take a call to action. So that call to action. Sure, yeah. So after you get booked on a show, then our next step is to generate a custom lead funnel for you. And the lead funnel's job is, hey, explain why somebody that comes to this page should keep listening, should keep reading, and get them to take action. So anatomy of a good lead funnel is, here's at the very top the title of the show. Here's a 1 to 2 sentence summary about the show. Here's the embedded version of the show itself. So it still counts as a listen for the host. It's not just, we're not hijacking traffic. Here are the takeaways that you're going to get out of watching the entire episode. And then here's a call to action at the bottom. So as they're watching and they're reading the takeaways and they're like, I like what this guy's putting down. I'm really enjoying this. Click the call to action button. And that could be join a free community, join a weekly call, join, schedule a no obligation consultation, whatever it is, as long as it results in them taking action to create a two-way form of communication, not just sign up for email updates, but actually come closer and say, I want to hear from you. I want to be in communication. And that's how winning is done, right? So when you're able to take your own audience and bring them to that lead funnel, that page, you're able to convert some
Yeah.
of those into action takers and turn them into clients later on.
Well, I think the approach that you guys have taken in regards to that is so important because, like I just said, I think there's a lot of different places you can go and things of that nature that you can talk on podcasts or even it's kind of similar to what we're doing right now, right?
Yep.
But where is it? Where are they sending people? What links? What landing pages? And actually having a real process there, I think, is a big differentiator for the success that you've seen with your
Yes.
clients. Which I like I said, that was one of the big things that really stuck out to me is like, oh, Fritz just isn't trying to get people on podcasts. He's actually trying to get them on podcasts that are a good fit for him, that have the right market for those people, and then also helping them get business afterwards, right? Which is all the
Absolutely.
ultimate goal of business in general, right? Is to find more
Yeah.
people that you can help and grow your business. So
Yeah. No joke. Well, and I mean, partly the reason why I hesitated to even go this direction, because I used to produce podcasts, I've largely moved away from that, is because that was a stigma that I knew was attached to a lot of podcast booking agencies. They're like, "Hey, you bought in, we got a quota, we got to get you on 4 shows a month or whatever." And it's just any port in a storm. It's like, let's just shoehorn you into whatever. And it's like, I didn't want that. I didn't want that. And
yeah,
so my coach was like, "Well, then don't do it that way. You've got a gift. You're
right.
great at connecting. You're able to, match people together. You can use everything you've got in your brain and make this happen, but don't make it like a, hey, I got to shove you on this show because you said you needed. Focus on results." And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can do it
Yeah.
that way. So I did.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'd love to. So one of the other things that you offer too, which I think is great, is the community piece. So I'd love for you to kind of touch a little bit on that and what all of that entails as well.
Sure. So the community piece is where we come together once a week and we actually hash out some issues that we're having. This is a free portion of the community, and we'll get in, we'll do some breakouts, we'll do some networking. It's good to meet new people. But then at the end of the call, that's when we open up for some educational stuff. And so a lot of times it's me, I'll present on something. Today I was just talking about, well, how do you measure your ROI? Like if you're guesting on shows, how do you know if it's working? How do you know? It's like trying to drive a car without having a dashboard. It's like, am I even going the right direction? Am I going too fast? Do I have gas? What's my oil pressure like? Like, you don't know, right? And being able to say, all right, here's my criteria for success. Now, how do I know if I'm getting more of that? How do I know if I'm getting more money in the bank? Well, check the bank account. Well, how do you know if leads are converting? How do you know if they're booking calls? How do you know if your efforts are paying off? Put a benchmark out there and see if it's working, right? So we talk about that kind of stuff. But as more people get involved in the community, then I open up some opportunities for them to share. So first Monday of the month, I open it up for lightning talk. So up to 4 people can present a 5-minute talk apiece during the educational part, and they can share whatever is relevant in their space as long as it ties back to podcasting. We've had people that come on and talk about mindset, sales, financial wellness, all kinds of stuff. And that's a lot of fun. And then I do have a paid aspect to the community where it includes group coaching and direct access to me one on one because I want people to be able to get unstuck. And I wish I could just pour myself into the free group. But it's like, well, I mean, I need to make a little bit of money off of this, keep the wheels greased. Kind of a recovering people pleaser, right? Just do it for free. You'll never work a day in your life, but I still got to pay the bills, right? But that's up and coming. I've got some pretty new things coming up here that I can't talk about just yet until a phone call later on today, but it's gonna be some pretty exciting stuff. It's gonna instantly create a size of a group about 200 if this works out right. So
Wow.
it's good stuff. Yeah, it's good
That's
stuff.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love the I also love the you have that mindset of truly helping people, right? And a lot of times like you're definitely a value first person, which I can appreciate, right? Which is like how do you create value for people? Because a lot of times the money follows, right? And like you said, is like you can't do it for free, right? But if you can offer in that scenario an opportunity for people that are just interested, like, that's a great opportunity. And we'll definitely put a link underneath the video to that community and that group so that if people are interested, they can jump in there and see a little bit more what it's about. One of the other things that you're doing, Fritz, too, is you're doing in-person events. So one of the
Yeah.
things that we definitely wanted to talk about is this Friday, and I know I got some St. Louis people that I'm connected with on my social platforms. So if you are from St. Louis, definitely listen up. But you have an event coming up, I think Friday, right? So coming up really quick here.
Yeah, this Friday, bro. Yeah, it's Friday, February 27th, and what we're going to be getting into is how do you make $100,000 through being a podcast guest? And when I put that out there, people are just like, "Who in the thunder is going to pay me $100,000 to appear on their show?" It's like, well, that's not where we're going, right? It's how do you
Take a little
sell?
time.
Like, I know it's like it's just you just got to find that one sucker. I mean, that
Right.
one opportunity, right? But what we're doing is we're actually saying, well, instead of answering that question, which is not the right question, it's can you sell $1,000 thing 100 times, or can you sell a $5,000 thing 20 times, or can you sell $100 a month thing to 100 people and wait 10 months and get your 100 grand that way? There's a lot of ways to make money through being a podcast guest, but where the disconnect happens is people treat podcast guesting as, hey, this is a form of visibility. Hey, it's a form of content. They're not wrong. It absolutely is. It very much is also a marketing and sales tool. And if you leverage it properly and you have the right kind of offer, something that charges you up where you don't feel ooky about sales, like I don't even feel salesy about stuff because I've gotten things locked in where I'm like, I'm not afraid to sell anymore. I kind of look at the old version of myself and I'm like, why were you ever afraid of this? Well, because I didn't have my offer dialed in. My brain wasn't believing what I was trying to sell. And it was like, let's make it salesy. Sales is spooky. Let's do something else instead. So, I mean, we're going to be unpacking like, why do you procrastinate? What causes anxiety? How do you build an offer? How do you use a CRM? How do you repurpose content? How do you develop that unstoppable business mindset? How do you host your own events? What do you do before, during, and after every single episode and maximize it? Because I want people to be 100% present, realizing why they're performing certain actions and what the expected output is going to be, and to give them the freedom and the permission to say, hey, this particular thingy ain't working. Let's change it. We're not going to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's change this one part of the process and then measure the results and see if that works better. That's huge freedom. And I find that the more control that every business owner has in their entire sales process, the more money they make. If they've got complete control over it and say, I'm going to turn this lever, I'm going to crank this up, and I'm going to get more money out the butt end of this thing. Where the real problem is, well, do I have enough people to actually fulfill on this? Or am I going to be running myself right? Like, that's an actual good problem. It's a solvable problem. We're not going to solve it at this event. But when you get there, man, things really take off. That's what the event on the 27th is going to be about.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I love that. I think I have that conversation in a little bit of a different capacity with like new clients I'm bringing on, is because a lot of times you want to focus on the sale, right? Like how do I just get more business? Is it more leads? Is it more, whatever that is? But a lot of times it's also a matter of making sure you have your process in place. Like, how are you following up? How are you onboarding people? What's your client retention plan? And I think a lot of those pieces have to be dialed in, because ultimately it's exactly the approach you're taking with getting people on podcasts. Is like, you can go do a million podcasts, but if you don't have a process to actually bring people through the door and nurture them and then turn that into business, you're kind of not wasting your time, right? There's still other benefits to it, but you're not maximizing your time is I think really the key point here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I tell people it's like time is the one resource you can't ever get back. And I'm really not trying to be morbid here, but we've all got a limited amount of time. And the older I get, and I sometimes feel like I'm a crotchety old man, I'm 45. And it's like, am I getting to be like this get off my lawn kind of old man? Like the old man in Up, like get off my lawn, go away, And it's like, no, I think I'm just getting more mindful with where I spend my time, where I spend my energy. And
Yeah.
realizing that, yeah, in my young and silly years, 20s, 30s, where I can just blah, 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 just spend energy, time, money all over the place. And now I'm like, no, I'd rather be really strategic. I'd rather, if I'm going to commit, that I know ahead of time that I'm going to get like 5 or 10x the return on my investment of energy, my investment of time, my investment of money. And that can feel a little weird because I normally would just run and gun and just not be afraid. It's like, I'm going to run with scissors. I'm not afraid. Haha. But now I'm like, I'm not afraid to do it, but I think my time and energy could be better spent elsewhere. So I'm
Big
mellowing out.
time.
I am becoming an old man, dude. That's it. That's got to be it.
I
Has
mean,
to be.
I don't think you're at the guy from Up yet, you know? I
No,
mean, maybe in a few years, but I don't think you're there
maybe
yet.
a
So
few. Maybe 10 years, man. Fritz, you got a lot of gray hair. Yeah. Thanks, bro. I
Oh,
thought we were friends.
I love it. No, I honestly, I really love the fact of how you're going about this. I love how'd you kind of like land in this? Like, I always love talking to people about their journey into it and into what they're currently doing because I think everybody's route is so different, right? And I love to give people the opportunity just to hear kind of the different stories of like, hey, when was the moment something clicked for you that you realized like, oh, I think I got something here.
You know, I'll tell you, 2019 was when I got into the podcasting world. And that was before COVID, BC. It wasn't even on the radar. And I got into podcasting because it was a free entry point. And I thought to myself, well, I've got an opinion and the world needs to hear about it. I had a microphone and I seriously, it was ego and vanity. And I don't feel bad saying that. It's not what keeps me in now. But I started off, you know how they have like pod fade, like 7 episodes in, you're like, this sucks. I don't want to keep doing that. I didn't even get that far. I got 3 episodes in and I'm like, I don't like this because it was just me, rapping, opining about stuff and just being right. I sounded like a crotchety old man. And that was in my 30s, man. And so eventually a friend of mine reached out and was like, oh, so you have a podcast. You ever have a guest on your show? And I said, no. He said, do you want one? I said, sure. Who do you have in mind? And he said, me. I said, oh, okay, well, let's do it. It's kind of like when you get surprise company and you're like, well, I got to pick up my socks and underwear off the floor. It felt a lot like that.
Right.
And so I got things started, and he was actually the first guest on my first season and then the last guest of the first season as well. So it kind of bookended things. But during that time, I met so many Amazeballs people. And I was thinking to myself at first, I mean, because yeah, there was a lot of imposter syndrome. Why are they coming to me of all people? I'm just a guy in the back seat of his truck. That's where I did my show. And I said, you know, they're all pretty big where they are. And if they find it valuable to spend the time with me, there's one lady in particular who I said, she keeps wanting to spend time with me. She spent time with me on my show. She wants to keep in touch. She wants to build into me. She enjoys my time. She enjoys my company. I must be a pretty cool guy. And so that seems like it lends into the ego and vanity part, but that's what busted my imposter syndrome. I'm like, everybody here is able to control their time. And if they're deciding to spend it with me, there must be something here. There must be something here. My network
Yeah,
took
for
off.
sure.
The quality of it took off. So later, I had decided, okay, I'm going to start producing episodes for people because I started getting some people that were asking me, hey, can you build a podcast for me? Like I've always wanted to do it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I started my Podcastify Me business in late 2021. And it's evolved, it's changed now. So I don't do the production near as much anymore. I'm focused more on the booking side of things and saying, okay, well, yeah, we still could do it. I still got that dog in me, but it's a lot lighter lift to guest on other shows. And even if you've got a team that's working with you to do the production, it's still a lift. It's like, oh, I got to get the time and put it on and make the content and I got to get, and it's like, nah, man, just eat out. It's like eating out at a
Right.
restaurant every night of the week, right? It's like I don't have to cook. I know I could do it, but I don't want to. I just want to have go out and have somebody cook for me. That's what that is.
Right.
So, but it's a lot of fun. I get to
I
test myself every single day. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's awesome too that you like one of the things that I picked up there is I think when you start a business or you start a venture or an idea or things like that, a lot of times you have it in your head of like this is how it's going to go, right? And most of the time it doesn't. And there's a lot of people that are resistant to following that nudge in a different direction. And I think it's really awesome that you've really evolved. Like you understood the back end of like how does this actually get produced, and you understood the ins and outs of the world, the podcasting world a little bit. And then eventually over time you've realized like, oh, there's actually a market here that I enjoy doing more. And there's a lot of people that are very resistant to, well, no, this is the idea that I started with, right? And so I think it's really cool that you've been able to identify those things over the last 5 6 years and just say like, nope, I'm going to continue like what feels good, right? Like where I can make even more of an impact and be more intentional with my time and things like that. I think that's really awesome because there's not a lot of people that follow those nudges.
Hey, I appreciate it, but hopefully I'm not coming across as, man, I stick the landing every single time. I know when to pivot and when to stay put. Dude, I hung on to things by my fingernails. Okay. I'm pretty stubborn. So if I seem like I got it put together, and this isn't me like trying to nag myself or anything, but it's okay to
No.
take a little while to learn something. I did. But yeah, it's been great. The learning journey has just been amazing. So I wouldn't go back and do anything over, but
Well,
yeah.
I think that's natural though, because eventually over time, like I'm somebody that talks about, I know this is gonna sound weird, but I think everything is very cyclical in what we do, right? Like even in our habits or just in business in general, personal life. And one of the things that I talk about a lot, even to the people around me, is like how do you shorten the windows, right? So if you are somebody that holds on to something and you recognize like, oh, I held on to that 6 months too long, right? Or I didn't make the pivot, I should have done this 6 months ago. The goal in my opinion is how do you recognize and then shorten those windows, because at the end of the day then you just become more and more efficient. But it's never about really judging yourself or going back and being like, oh, I should have, I waited 6 months to make that change and I shouldn't have. It's like, no, you identified it. Now the next time, maybe let's do it in 4 months, right? Like, or 3 months, or those sort of things. And I think that's really the journey, is not looking back and second guessing. It's saying like, what would I have done differently last time, right? So I think that's awesome that you brought that up too. Is just like, yeah, I don't have it all together, but I think I'm on the right track because I'm creating some value for people, and I think that's awesome. So
Yep. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
what are a couple things, like as people are listening to this, like who are some of the people that you really want to work with that would get the most value out of like either your free community, your paid community, or even your events that you consistently do?
Yeah, it's going to be people that have a hunger to want to improve themselves. They're business owners and they know deep down it's not, hey, what kind of funnel do I have? Or what kind of, like, do I use Facebook ads? Do I use LinkedIn ads? They're not thinking about tactics. They're not even really thinking about strategies. They're thinking about who do I need to become in order to have the level of success that I want. So we're peeling back the layers until we're down to like the deep who they are. And they know, hey, we've seen who we used to be. We know who we are now. We know who we're trying to become. So now what do I need to do to become that person? What actions do I need to implement? And so those are the best people because they're highly emotionally intelligent. They know that their business success is directly related to the kind of person they are. And if they're the kind of person that's afraid to take a chance, if they're unwilling to pivot, if they're unwilling to bend, if they're, fearful, they don't like to take risk, then it's like, they're probably not the right fit. In fact, they are not the right fit. I'm not going to say probably not. If they think they got it figured out, they're wrong. But it's the ones that are like, I know I need to do something differently, but I'm not sure what it is. And I'm very, very interested in learning what that is because I want these results. And especially if they trust me to ask me the question about, hey, what do I do to get these results? And they're willing to take action and do the thing. Are they
Right.
coachable? Are they resourceful? Are they willing to try some stuff? And even if it doesn't work, try something else until it does. Those people are perfect. Yeah.
Well, I love that too, because I think sometimes, especially in the world we live in, everybody wants results yesterday, right? Like I'm that person, I want things done yesterday, right? I'm working on my patience, but I'm just not that person, right? But I do also understand that sometimes the first try through things isn't going to work, right? And so I think individuals that have that ability to understand like, hey, this may not be the exact solution, but we're going to continue to move towards the best solution. And sometimes you got to try things that are maybe a little out of the box, or you're doing things a little bit differently than you have been. And I think that those are the best people to work with, right? For sure.
They are. They are.
Awesome, Fritz. Well, I as we kind of wrap up here, Fritz, I'd love for you just to kind of give, if there's anybody in the world that is, even just thinking about doing their own thing or wanting to learn more about podcasting or anything like that, like what are a few things that you would love for them just to know, whether it be about your journey getting into business or specifically in the podcast world?
Yeah. Well, I can share one thing that was a humongous breakthrough for me and has actually given me practically unlimited content as far as when I speak in front of people. And If you're thinking about starting a podcast, if you're thinking about guesting on shows, first thing to do is figure out your offer. I'm going to assume we're talking to business owners here, but figure out your offer first. If you think about your offer and it doesn't excite you, like as soon as you get out of bed, you're like, man, I cannot wait to talk to so and so about this today. Like, I'm not even worried I'm going to upset them because I know my energy is just so contagious that I'm not going to piss them off. But I got to tell them about this thing because I know it's going to help them. I know it. I can feel it in my guts, right? That's exactly the kind of offer you need. And I do have, briefly, I've got a framework, and I'll cover it, is it's going to have three components. It's going to be resonant with who you are. So it's going to align with your skills, your gifts, your talents, your calling, all that kind of stuff. Dig it out. You may not even know this about yourself yet, but take the time to get to know yourself because your offer is going to resonate with who and what you are. The next is that it's holistic. It's actually solving problems. It's not solving symptoms, which people are going to come to you with, oh, this hurts in my business. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to just fix the symptom. Let's figure out what's causing the symptom. And if there's something else causing the thing that's causing the symptom, let's dig down. It's like going to the doctor with a bad headache and the doctor gives you a painkiller for the headache. And it's like, that solves the symptom, but maybe you got a brain tumor. It's like, that's the actual problem. Fix that, right? Be holistic. And then third, be clear. If someone were to sit you down at a Panera, I'll say a bread Coke, since we're talking to St. Louisans here. Hello.
Yep.
If somebody sat you down and said, listen, we got an hour. We got coffee. You can get it straight from the udder over there. I'm buying. I'll even get you a bear claw or whatever they're calling them now. Pecan braid things. They changed it. Sit down and tell me end to end how your whole thing works. You should be able to do that. There shouldn't be any hand wavy magic smoke. It's like, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this, and not feel afraid about, oh, that's secret sauce. That's fine. People are not going to pay you for your time. They're actually paying you for their time. So be as upfront as you can be. Yeah, and when you can explain it end to end fearlessly, because you're like, nobody's going to want to do this themselves. There's 183 steps in the process. I mean, they're busy. They're paying me because they want to reclaim their time. They're not going to steal this from me. If you want to, have fun, but I'll just come up with something else, right? And when you have an offer that fits those three criteria, man, it is exciting. I know we just met a little bit like a few weeks back. I've always been the kind of guy where I'm like turned up pretty high. I've been an extrovert for a long time, but if you met me a year ago and you compared it to the Fritz today, you'd be like, this dude is a bit extra. Like, what the heck? What is his deal? And it just keeps getting worse and worse, man. Every day. I'm just at capacity.
I see it as what I see from you is somebody that understands the value that you do provide to people. I think you enjoy the hell out of what you do, and I think that comes through, because it's so funny. Like when I meet people and I ask them like, "Oh, what do you do?" The first question I usually ask is like, "Well, do you enjoy it? Like, do you love what you do?" And when it comes to what you're doing, Fritz, I can tell. Like, you don't even have to ask that question, right? Because you enjoy providing people value and helping them succeed, but you just enjoy the heck out of the process of working with those people and providing that value. And to me, that's what shines through the biggest. And just when you're talking about things, is like, anybody that's watching this, there are some golden nuggets there from an offer standpoint and things like that. And I'm pumped for you. I wish I could get to St. Louis. I can't this Friday. It's not going to work. I know you said just use gravity and come down from Wisconsin.
There you go.
I don't know if
just
that's
put some
exactly
skis
how it
on.
works,
I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't know. The earth is round. It's just a constant downhill. I don't see how this plane can fail.
Yeah, I agree. But anybody that is in the St. Louis area, you're a business owner and you have a few hours on Friday to join Fritz and learn more about how not just to get on podcasts, but also like how to actually turn that into revenue for yourself. I would highly, highly recommend, taking your Friday and doing that. So Fritz, I appreciate your time, man. I really do. I love talking to you. And I'm excited to, continue to work with you here over upcoming. And I appreciate your time.
Anytime, bro. I appreciate the gift of your time too.
You bet.